the naked. Gymno means naked and sperms means seeds. So naked seeds are there in the gymnosperms. These plants possess only the seeds but not fruits. The formation is that means only the seeds are there, not fruits. So these very ancient gymnosperms are there. There is the upper Devonian period. Mostly there are the upper Devonian periods. What are the general characters means distribution? Gymnosperms consist in the world dominant vegetation during the upper Paleozoic and Mesozoic era of the geological timescale. So they have the long fossil history better represented during the geological past and eventually many became they are the exist some of the exist are there. So in the world, the gymnosperms are represented by the 70 genera and around 760 species are there. In India, there are about 16 genera and 53 species are there. The living gymnosperms are represented by the members of cycadales, coniferales, dogtails, ginkgoales, and another one is the needles. So these are the living genera are there. The cycadales, ginkgoales are present in the surviving the members of extremely ancient group. So these bulk of the modern gymnosperms are represented by the member of the coniferous, particularly the family of Pinaceae, which is distinct geographical distribution. Cycadales are represented by the 11 genera and 181 species are there. That is among these 11 genera are cycadales, cycas is the only one group with the 5 species. Some other species are Jamia and Encephaloratus and Macrozemia, then Stungeria. These are the exotic and one is cultivated, some are the ornamentals are there. So tallest gymnosperm is the Sequoia. And in India, the coniferous are known mainly distributed in the western and eastern Himalayas of the means Kashmir, Assam, eastern areas only, eastern countries. Okay. So the details that are represented by the 3 genera are there, that is the Neetum, Ephedra, and Velvetia. Which of the Neetum here, 6 species are there, Ephedra, 8 species are there. Among other ginkgoales, there are the ginkgo biloba. They are using the fossils. Is only one is surviving the species. What is the vegetation of these gymnosperms? So the gymnosperms are the essentially xerophytic characters are there. Evergreen, xerophytic, woody, arborescent of the shrub perennial plant. The conifers often attain a pyramidal shape are mostly gigantic forest trees living for the abundant a few hundred years. The redwood trees of California, that is the Cicasia sempervensis, the highest around 140 meters are there. In the Cyclodendron giganteum is the tree which is diameter around 10 meters height, 10-meter diameter and around 120 meters height is there. The trunk is usually columnar and unbranched and terminate the crown of the large pinnately compound leaves are there. Crown like pinnately compound leaves are on the apical region of the stems. These needles are resemble of the typical dicotyledonous plants in their habit and their small trees, shrubs, sometimes woody climbers also there. The embryo is the straight and endoscopic and embedded in the endosperm. The number of cartilage may be two or many endosperms are there, cartilage are there. Okay. So the gymnosperms are mostly evergreen plants. However, a few coniferous like Laria and Taxodium are the deciduous. The foliage is of two types are there, brown scale like leaves and green simple or some compound leaves are there. The simple leaves may be linear, lanceolate, or there that is the satellite or needle-like compound leaves are there. So mesophils, some are the cycads and cycadioides. The phyllotaxon may be spirally or opposite to decussate orally, sometimes orally they are appear. Venation may be reticulate in netum and parallel in Welwitschia or dichotomous in ginkgo. This pattern is appear in these respective species. The stomata are two types are there. Haplophilic stomata we are identified in the cycadales and coniferous and another one in the syndotelic stomata. So syndotelic stomata that is the cycadiidae and some species of the netum. The foliar bundles are diploxylic in the cycas and normal collateral type in other species. Secondary growth is common feature of the gymnosperms, resulting in the profuse secondary xylem and some amount of the secondary phloem. The secondary wood shows is the distinct growth rings. The secondary wood is the gymnosperms. There is the two types are there, monoxylic wood and another one is the pycnoxylic wood. The form is the present in the some membrane of the Cycadopsida, while the latter is present in the Coniferopsida. Monoxylic wood is the loose with the large, relatively thin-walled tracheids. The lumina and monoxylic tracheids are large in condition. In the pycnoxylic wood, this one is the hard and compact with narrow rays. Tracheids are small in size, thick-walled and small lumina, and wood shows little or xylem parenchyma. So this pycnoxylic wood makes a commercial timber. Xylem of gymnosperms is made up of the tracheids and some xylem parenchyma. So the pits are mostly confined in the radial walls of the tracheids, that is the second. Radial fitting are two types are there, Araucarian and Abetinian type. So Araucarian type of the radial fitting consists of usually two or many seriate angular and continue rounded and alternate pits are there. That is the Araucarian pit means many two or many seriate. Abetinian radial fitting is composed of usually uni or biseriate. There are the circular separate pits are there. This is the reproduction characters are what is this? These gymnosperms are some are the dioecious, some are the monoecious are there. The microspores called as pollen grains produced in microsporangia on the microsporophylls. These microsporophylls are generally arranged in the male cones. The megaspores are produced in the ovules born on the megasporophyll. They generally aggregate on the female cone. Okay. Cycas and ginkgo taxus female cones are absent. So depending on the whether the ovules are leaf-borne or stem-borne, the gymnosperms are either phylospermic or stachyspermic conditions are there. So these microsporophylls may be broad, foliar, or peltate. The microsporangia are in group of two or many in the abaxial surface of the microsporophylls. Each sporangium develops in eusporangiate manner or contain a number of microspores, means pollen grains. The pollen grains of the gymnosperms are typically monosulcate condition. They have the single arrow-like aperture on the dorsal surface. That one is the monosulcate. Sometimes they are the wings are there, two wings are there, with and without wings are there. In the present, wings are that monocycate or bicycate or tricycate we call it. So these winged pollen grains are encountered in the coniferous members. Okay. When the ovals in the gymnosperms are naked or not enclosed in the carpel as in the angiosperms, the ovule is usually orthotropous and unitegmentic. The single integument is nascent and divisible into the three discrete layers, the outer and inner fleshy layer and the mostly stony layers are there. The integument is either free from the fuse of the nucleus. The integument is either vasculated or non-vasculated conditions are the distinct micropole and nucleus breakdown down to form a capsular depression termed as a pollen chamber. So after the pollination, the pollen grains are generally logged in the pollen chamber. The megaspore mother cells divide meiotically to produce linear tetrads of the megaspores. The basal one is represent the functional megaspore, and other spores are the degenerated. Functional megaspore enlarged and the division develops into the female gametophyte. So the gymnosperm endosperm is formed before the fertilization. So is applied in nature, but in the angiosperm there is a formed after the fertilization. That's why it's a triploid condition is there. So megasporangium. So young nucellus is surrounded by an outer epidermal layer. This progenious mother cells undergoes meiosis division and without wall formation, that is before haploid nucleate tetraspores are there. Likewise, 8 to 16 tetrasporic embryo sac or 4 nucleate ctenomegaspores are formed, but ultimately only one develops and mature after they are. The archegonia develop from the hypodermal archisporial cells towards the microsporal and endosperm. The archegonia in gymnosperms are very small and possessing a short neck with ventral canal cells and egg canal cells are there. So the first phase is the embryogeny, is the occurrence of the prenuclear divisions in the zygote. This is the most characteristic feature of the gymnosperms in this. The number of free nuclei formed before the wall are laid down between the nuclei shows a lot of the variations are there. So the polyembryony is the common feature in gymnosperms. This may be the cleavage type of the and another one is the simple type is there. The seeds is resulting in the production of fertilization, consequent elaboration and modification of the ovule. The integument of the ovule is modified into seed and seed coat to then fleshy layer and middle stunny layer is there. After germination of the seeds, period is the resting dormant period is there. Next one is the classification of the gymnosperm. So a number of systems of classified of gymnosperm have been proposed day to day by various authors are there. So early there are the gymnosperms in 7 groups are classified by the Coulter and Cambrilian. So after Arnold is also classified, and finally the Punt classification. Punt is classified in 1957. What is the gymnosperms into 2 divisions are there? That is the Cycadophyta and Coniferophyta. Coniferophyta, another one is the Cramdospermophyta. So after Sporne in 1965 is recognized these gymnosperms into Cycadopsida, Coniferopsida, and Nitopsida. 3 classes are there. What is that one? Cycadopsida, Coniferopsida, and Nitopsida. 3 classes are there. So this Cycadopsida is characterized by the monozylic wood, large prawn-like foliages are there. So Coniferopsida, other hand, it is a distinct pygmozylic wood, simple needle-like and paddle-shaped, that is the leaves are there. Whereas the Nitopsida, secondary wood is the vessels and flowers with the perianth is there. Flowers are recognized in the inflorescence compound stabile. So this is the 4th classification. Cycadopsida, again class is divided into 4 orders are there. That is the pterodospermales and benititales, pentoxylales, and cycadales. And then another class is the Coniferopsida, which is divided into 4 orders are there: Cordatales, Coniferales, Taxales, another one is the Ginkgoales. Then 3rd class is the Nitopsida, which is the only one order is there, that is the Nitales. So economic importance of the gymnosperm, this is very important in the economic importance. The gymnosperms economically very important plants are there. There are the valuable products like timber and lumber, paper pulp, and resin, tannins, some oils, food supplement, medicines also they are given. So wood and timber yielding plants are there. Most gymnosperms, particularly coniferous and taxales, they give a good quality timber. Another one is the paper industry. The wood pulp of the various coniferous is used in the different types of the paper manufacturing. That is the newspaper or print paper, writing paper, or they can use finest like that. And resins also. A number of coniferous yield commercially valuable resins they can produce. The superior resin used in the enamels and plasters and varnish papers, medicines they can use. So some turpentines also they can produce from these coniferous resins. It is the Bristol aromatic solid. It is used to manufacture soap, varnishes, paints, and drugs, chemicals they can use. Another one is the copals. Copals are the group of hard resins obtained from both living and fossil trees. They have a melting point that are called as the copal and monital copal. That is the agathis and agathis they can source. Another one is the sanderac. Sanderac is the hard, pale yellow resin obtained from the bark of the tetraclinic articulata. also which is used metal varnish for the integrated and dental cement and paper and leather varnish are there. So another the Canada balsam is this one type of the resin is obtained from the Abyss balsamia. It is used mounting medium in the microscopic preparation. Another the material is the amber. Amber is the fossilized resin is obtained from the ancient coniferae. It is highly period and used in the preparation of the ornamentals in Japan. Okay. Another one is the tannins and essential oils is also produced. So some gymnosperms are used in as a food. The roasted seeds of some gymnosperms means the pinus, neetum, ginkgo. These seeds are used as a food. So this one is a commercially important starch called the sago. Sago we can use. A sugary secretion extracted in the hardwood of pinus that is called as a sugar pine in the used in substance for the sugar. So young leaves of the cycas and netum used as a vegetable. So another the young pith of the encephalus is used to make the tariff bred by the tribes of South Africa. So some alcohol beer is also formed for fermented springs and leaves of the peas and abyss. So gymnosperms are used as a medicinal plant. Ephedrine. Ephedrine is the alkaloid which is obtained from the ephedra. So which is used in the curing the various diseases like bronchitis, cough, and nasal discharges. Another compound is a taxol. This is also obtained from the taxus, so which is curing the cancer disease. So Pinus pastea is the highest sensitive to some medicinal problems also. Some ornamental plants also, ginkgo and araucaria, thuja. These are the used in the some araucarian plants means ornamental plants are there. Citrus, hmm? So citrus that is used as a Christmas trees like such are there. Okay. So another one is the type study is the pica means pinus. So pinus, this one is belongs to the this is the pinus forms are there. Okay. This is the pinus. Pinus, the classification is the gymnosperms class is the Coniferae and order is the Coniferae family is the Pinus, genus is the Pinus. There are about 18 genera and 200 species in the family Pinaceae. The family is characterized by they have the spiral arrangements and its foliferous scales and bracts scales are there. Here, two types of the ovals are present on the scale and two pollen saccing microphyls and bi-winged pollen grains are there. This is some important and distribution and habit. There are about 90 species in the genus. They are widely spread out in temperate and cool temperate region of the north hemispherical region. The external morphology. So the species of the Pinus are mostly large trees reaching in height around 70 to 200 feet and about 10 to 12 feet in diameter. The main stem is erect, woody, and covered with the rugged, scaly bark. The apical bud of the stem is very active and grows continuously and rapidly throughout its lifetime. Okay. The branches at the lower region of the stem are larger and those higher up the gradually became shorter. The symmetry, however, is lost by the gain and that some old branches are there. So another one is the rooting. So roots typically taproot system is the short-lived because their roots often grows in shallow soil overlying the rocks. So the roots are associated with the ectoploic mycorrhizal fungus. The branches are the dimorphic, which is represented by the branches are determined growth, that is the long shoots, which is the gives identified growth are there. So two types of the branches are there. So two types of the branches are there. That is the long shoot, another one is the drop shoot. So long shoots, so they can is indeterminate growth, means continuous they can grow. Another one is the dark shoots, so that is the limited growth shoots are there. Okay. So these rises on the long shoot from the axis born scale leaves and exhibits very much limited growth because of the early the sessions of the activity of their apical buds. Another one is the leaf. Leaves are also dimorphic and represented by the uh, brown scale like leaves are there. They are the another one is the green foliage leaves. Two types of the leaves are there: scale leaves and foliage leaves. So that is scale leaves called as a cladophilus. They are born on the long and dark shoot. The green leaves are called as the needles because there is a characteristic the needle shape is there. The needle occur only in the dark shoots only. So internal structure of the pinus. So pinus needle is the important. That is the um, the leaf. That is the leaf are nothing but needle. Okay. Needle-like structures are there. The cross section is outlined. There is variation to different species are there. So monophylla is the needle is circular in cross section. That is the Pinus sylvestris is the semicircular. Another one is the tangifolia and strobus that is almost triangular in outline. There are the differentiation into three regions are there. That is the epidermis and the outer layer is the epidermis is there. Epidermis, mesophils, and inner one is the means tissue is the means connecting tissue. Vascular bundle, nothing but vascular bundle. So epidermis is a single layer which is very thick wall, and outer wall is the heavily cutinized condition. The stomata are uniformly distributed, which is the deeply sunken stomata. They develop to longitudinal pores are there. So the stomata are the haplotelic type of the stomata are there. Means haplotelic means God cells and subsidiary cells are developed from the different mother cells means different ancestors. So below the epidermis, hypodermis cells are there. One or two layers thick wall sclerenchymal cells are there. And another one is the mesophyll. This is compactly essentially in thin wall chloroplast parenchymatous cells are there. The inner walls of the mesophyll cells are drawn inward to form the uh, page-like verti structure. The presence of peg-like ingrowths in a characteristic feature of the mesophyll of the pinus. The mesophyll tissue is the seat of the photosynthetic activity and it contains the numerous chloroplast and abundant starch. Another one is the endodermis, which is the conspicuous single layer and barrel shaped structure. The transparent tips is also present. So below the endodermis pericycle is there multi-layered present beneath the endodermis. It consists of several types of the endodermis. And another one is the that is the embedded them to two rows are there means the parenchymatous cells are there that is the albuminous cells and bacterial cells are there. So these albuminous cells and parenchymatous they are rich in proteins. Okay. So that is the carry to another material that is the transverse tissue means the xylem to as a neutrophil special kinds of the collecting continuous tissues there that is the transverse tissue. The vascular bundles are here conjoined, collateral, and open type of the vascular bundles are there. Another one is the reproduction system. So here the reproduction system of the male and female both are the born on the same plant. So here sinus male cone, that is the male cone. Means this sinus is the monoecious conditions are there. Means male and female cones are born on the same plants, but on the different branches are there. So, so this is the this is microspores. Microspores are there. In the male cone. So the staminated stabile means to produce the number of microspores are in pollen grain. The development of the microsporangium is the eusporangiate, a group of the hypodermal cells divide periclinally to form an outer peritoneal layer and inner porogenous layer. The outer layer is divided further to form a three-celled thick wall uh, layer of the sporangium. The sporogenous layer gives rise to the archisporal tissues which form the microspore mother cells. Each microspore mother cells undergoes meiosis to produce the four upright pollen grains are there. So another one is the female stabile. This is the see here. This one is the female stabile. Female cone or female stabile means the female cone is the large arises in the place of the long shoot. 1 to 4 female cones is arise in the axis of the brown tail leaves are there. They are young female cone is small, erect, reddish green structure is the central axis. So these axis is laterally the megasporophylls are there. The morphology of the old ferrous scales. The morphology means female cone of the pinus has been one of the most thoroughly debated. Broadly speaking, there are two divergent aspects that are generally considered in this connection. Means female coniferous is a single cover. It is an inflorescence made up of the main axis with the secondary fertile shoot of the bracts. Okay. So the ovule, the development of the ovule is start only a year after the uh, female cones is formed. The ovule is raised on the small hump of the cells developing on the upper surface of the oviparous stage. The ovule is gradually increased in size to form the nucellus of the megasporangium. So next one is the development of the gametophyte. The pollen grains germinate partially even before they are fed from the pollen sac. To start with, the pollen divide from the small the linked prothalial cells, large cell is there. So after divide, another the answer small prothalial cells and large scales to produce the pollen grain divided into four cellular stage are there. Okay. So the pollen tube goes further into the nucleus. It means the generative cell move into the pollen tube, divide into sterile cell and spermatogenous cells are there. So after they are given again to non-motile male gamete. So all these development takes place before fertilization. Okay. Another one is the female gametophyte development. The functional megaspore furnished by the micellar tissue enclose and undergo to repeated prenuclear divisions. The prenucleus occupies that is the parietal position, leaves a large central vacuole. As a result of further prenuclear divisions, as many as 200 prenucleus are formed, and central vacuole became smaller and inner disappearance are there. So after the fertilization, embryos are formed. That is the pre-embryos are there means after development divide four nucleus. These four nucleus again divide eight nucleus are formed in two tiers. So each tier here four cells are there. That will be okay.